Hello, noble families and students. I hope you are well. This video is coming to you April 1st, so happy April Fool's Day. I hope you're doing well. A couple quick things before we get into what we're going to be doing and talking about today. We just had a meeting with Ms. Grislack and Ms. Volante, the other grade teacher, about how the rest of the year is going to look, at least up until May 1st. So just to give you a couple updates, um, my plan is to send home our math books to you, sending them home those books one at a time, and I'm going to continue to do video lessons on the math lessons that are in the book. So you'll be able to have that content right in front of you, right in front of your scholar. They'll be able to follow along with the videos, putting in answers, and then have the opportunity to answer some questions on their own. Um, and they're going to have some of that work graded, and how we're going to do that is I'm going to have you take a picture of the work and either send it to me via Remind or email, or what I'd really like to do is to use something called Dropbox, where you can just drop the picture, you can upload it to the internet for me to just look at that and give a grade for it. So that's what I plan to do as far as math goes. For English, we're going to be doing a whole unit on the Titanic, which was Monty's idea. So there's some videos for your scholars to watch of someone reading a story about the Titanic, and lots of activities that. So definitely going to need to start next week checking in on Google Classroom every single day. We're going to post the assignments at the beginning of the week on Monday and give you until the following Monday to get those assignments in. So you have the whole week to get whatever assignments we post done, and get grades for them. So that's the plan. We're also going to try and do at least one science and social studies activity a week as well, and you also have one activity for each specialist class as well. So I plan on reaching out to you if you, even if you've checked into Google Classroom. I plan on reaching out to every parent on Thursday, tomorrow. Talk to you and see how things are going, and see what your schedule's like and what your scholar schedule looks like, and see what we can do as far as that goes. So that's what I'm planning to do, and hopefully you're going to be able to assist your scholar and help them out, or someone's going to be able to. I know going, things are crazy in this time, and I know there's going to be special circumstances, and we'll take those into account. So please feel free to reach out and let me know how things are going and how I can assist time. So in this video today, we are going to be reading chapter 9 of Charlotte's Web and going over the answers. Day 7's math page. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 9, Wilbur's Boast. Spider's web is stronger than it looks. Although it is made of thin, delicate strands, the web is not easily broken. However, a web gets torn every day by the insects that kick around in it, and a spider must rebuild it when it gets full of holes. Charlotte liked to do her weaving during the late afternoon, and Fern liked to sit nearby and watch. One afternoon she heard a most interesting conversation and witnessed a strange event. "You have awfully hairy legs, Charlotte," said Wilbur, as the spider busily task. "My legs are hairy for good reason," replied Charlotte. "Furthermore, each leg of mine has 7 sections: the coxa, the trochanter, the femur, the patella, the tibia, the metatarsus, and the tarsus." Wilbur sat bolt upright. "You're kidding," he said. "No, I'm not either." "Say those names again. I didn't catch them the first time." "Coxa, trochanter, femur, patella, tibia, metatarsus, and tarsus." "Goodness," said Wilbur, looking down at his own legs. "I don't think my legs have 7 sections." "Well," said Charlotte, "you and I lead different lives. You don't have to spin a web. That takes real leg work." "I could spin a web if I tried," said Wilbur, boasting. "I've just never tried." "Let's see you do it," said Charlotte. Fern chuckled softly, and her eyes grew wide with love for the pig. "Okay," replied Wilbur. "You coach me, and I'll spin one. It must be a lot of fun to spin a web. How do I start?" "Take a deep breath," said Charlotte, smiling. Wilbur breathed deeply. "Now climb to the highest place you get to, like this." Charlotte raced up to the top of the doorway. Wilbur scrambled to the top of the manure pile. "Very good," said Charlotte. "Now make an attachment with your spinners, hurl yourself into space, and let out a drag line as you go down." Wilbur hesitated a moment, then jumped out into the air. He glanced hastily behind to see if a piece of rope was following him to check his fall, but nothing seemed to be happening in his rear, and the next thing he knew he landed with a thump. "Oomph!" he grunted. Charlotte laughed so hard her web began to sway. What did I do wrong? Asked the pig when he recovered from the bump. Nothing, said Charlotte. It was a nice try. I think I'll try again, said Wilbur cheerfully. I believe what I need is a little piece of string to hold me. The pig walked out to his yard. You there, Templeton, he called. The rat poked his head out from under the trough. Got a little piece of string I could borrow? Asked Wilbur. I need it to spin a web. Yes, indeed, replied Templeton, who saved string. No trouble at all. Anything to oblige. He crept down into his hole, pushed the goose egg out of the way, and returned with an old piece of dirty white string. Wilbur examined it. That's just the thing, he said. Tie one end to my tail, will you, Templeton? Wilbur crouched low with his thin, curly tail toward the rat. Templeton seized the string, passed it around the end of the pig's tail, and tied 2 half hitches. Charlotte watched in delight. Like Fern, she was truly fond of Wilbur, whose smelly pen and stale food attracted the flies that she needed, and she was proud to see that he was not a quitter and was willing to try again to spin a web. While the rat and the spider and the little girl watched, Wilbur climbed again to the top of the manure pile, full of energy and hope. Everybody watch, he cried, and summoning all his strength, he threw himself into the air head first. The string trailed behind him, but as he had neglected to fasten the other end to anything, it didn't really do any good, and Wilbur landed with a thud, crushed and hurt. Tears came to his eyes. Templeton grinned. Charlotte just sat quietly. After a bit, she spoke. You can't spin a web, Wilbur, and I advise you to put the idea out of your mind. You lack 2 things needed to spin a web. What are they? Said Wilbur, sadly. You lack a set of spinnerets, and you lack knowledge. You lack know-how. Wilbur, attempting to spin the web. But cheer up, you don't need a web. Zuckerman supplies you with 3 big meals a day. Why should you worry about trapping food? Wilbur sighed. You're ever so much cleverer and brighter than I am, Charlotte. I guess I was just trying to show off. Serves me right. Templeton untied his string and took it back to his home. Charlotte returned to her weaving. You needn't feel too badly, Wilbur, she said. Not many creatures can spin webs. Even men aren't as good at it as spiders, although they think they're pretty good, and they'll try anything. Did you ever hear of the Queensboro Bridge? Wilbur shook his head. Is it a web? Sort of, replied Charlotte, but do you know how long it took men to build it? 8 whole years. My goodness, I would have starved to death waiting for that long. I can make a web in a single evening. What do people catch in the Queensboro Bridge? Bugs? Asked Wilbur. No, said Charlotte, they don't catch anything. They just keep trotting back and forth across the bridge, thinking there is something better on the other side. If they'd hang head down at the top of the thing and wait quietly, maybe something good would come along. But no. With men, it's rush, 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 every minute. I'm glad I'm a sedentary spider. What does sedentary mean? Asked Wilbur. It means I sit still a good part of the time and don't go wandering all over creation. I know a good thing when I see it, and my web is a good thing. I stay put and wait for what comes. It gives me a chance to think. Well, I'm sort of sedentary myself, I guess, said the pig. I have to hang around here whether I want to or not. You know where I'd really like to be this evening? Where? In a forest looking for beech nuts and truffles and delectable roots, pushing leaves aside with my wonderful strong nose, searching and sniffing along the ground, smelling, smelling, smelling. You smell just the way you are, remarked a lamb who had just walked in. I can smell you from here. You're the smelliest creature in the place. Wilbur hung his head. His eyes grew wet with tears. Charlotte noticed his embarrassment, and she spoke sharply to him. Let Wilbur alone, she said. He has perfect right to smell, considering his surroundings. You're no bundle of sweet peas yourself. Furthermore, you're interrupting a very pleasant conversation. What were we talking about, Wilbur, when we were so rudely interrupted? Oh, I don't remember, said Wilbur. It doesn't make any difference. Let's not talk any more for a while, Charlotte. I'm getting sleepy. You go ahead and finish fixing your web, and I'll just lie here and watch you. It's a lovely evening. Wilbur stretched out on his side. Twilight settled over the Zuckerman's barn, and a feeling of peace. Fern knew it was almost supper time, but she couldn't bear to leave. Swallows passed on silent wings, in and out of the doorways, bringing food to their young ones. From across the road, a bird sang, Whip-poor-rill, whip-poor-rill. Lurvy sat down under an apple tree and lit his pipe. The animal sniffed the familiar smell of strong tobacco. Wilbur heard the trill of the tree toad and the occasional slamming of the kitchen door. All these sounds made him feel comfortable and happy, for he loved life and loved to be a part of the world on a summer evening. But as he lay there, he remembered what the old sheep had told him. The thought of death came to him, and he began to tremble with fear. Charlotte, he said softly. Yes, Wilbur. I don't want to die. Of course you don't, said Charlotte in a comforting voice. I just love it here in the barn, said Wilbur. I love everything about this place. Of course you do, said Charlotte. We all do. The goose appeared, followed by her 7 goslings. They thrust their little necks out and kept up a musical whistling, like a tiny troop of pipers. Wilbur listened to the sound with love in his heart. Charlotte, he said. Yes, said the spider. Were you serious when you promised you would keep them from killing me? I was never more serious in my life. I am not going to let you die, Wilbur. How are you going to save me? Asked Wilbur, whose curiosity was very strong on this point. Well, said Charlotte vaguely, I don't really know, but I'm working on a plan. That's wonderful, said Wilbur. How is the plan coming, Charlotte? Have you got very far with it? Is it coming along pretty well? Wilbur was trembling again, but Charlotte was cool and collected. Oh, it's coming all right, she said lightly. The plan is still in its early stages and hasn't completely shaped up yet, but I'm working on it. When do you work on it? Begged Wilbur. When I'm hanging head down at the top of my web, that's when I do my thinking, because then all the blood is in my head. I'd be only glad to help you in any way I can. Oh, I'll work it out alone, said Charlotte. I can think better if I think alone. All right, said Wilbur, but don't fail to let me know if there's anything I can do to help, no matter how slight. Well, replied Charlotte, you must try to build yourself up. I want you to get plenty of sleep and stop worrying. Never hurry and never worry. Do your food thoroughly and eat every bit of it, except you must leave just enough for Templeton. Gain weight and stay well. That's the way you can help. Keep fit and don't lose your nerve. Do you think you understand? Yes, I understand, said Wilbur. Go along to bed then, said Charlotte. Sleep is important. Wilbur trotted over to the darkest corner of his pen and threw himself down. He closed his eyes. In another minute, he spoke. Charlotte, he said. Yes, Wilbur. May I go out to my trough and see if I left any of my supper? I think I left just a tiny bit of mashed potato. Very well, said Charlotte, but I want you in bed again without delay. Wilbur started to race out to his yard. Slowly, slowly, said Charlotte. Never hurry and never worry. Wilbur checked himself and crept slowly to his trough. He found a bit of potato, chewed it carefully, swallowed it, and walked back to bed. He closed his eyes and was silent for a while. Charlotte, he said in a whisper. Yes? May I get a drink of milk? I think there are a few drops of milk left in my trough. No, the trough is dry, and I want you to go to sleep. No more talking. Close your eyes and go to sleep. Wilbur shut his eyes. Fern got up from her stool and started for home, her mind full of everything she had seen and heard. Good night, Charlotte, said Wilbur. Good night, Wilbur. There was a pause. Good night, Charlotte. Good night, Wilbur. Good night. Night. So, in chapter 9, we have Wilbur starting to worry about plan to kill him. Quite worrisome, and Charlotte is telling him not to worry, but he can't seem to fall asleep until the end of the chapter. Right? We also had the instance where Wilbur decided that he could spin a web and tried to do so. No luck. All right, let's go on to day 7's math page. Second to open Starboard software. Done this beforehand, but yeah. All right. Hit here. Over the day 7. Do this quickly, so make this a short 20-minute video. So starting with number 1, 8 times 9 should have been 72. Remember our trick with multiplying times 9. I take the number I'm multiplying. I make it 1 less than 8, 7. And then remember the two numbers in my answer have to equal 9, so 7 plus 2 is 9, 72. Which weighs less, letter A or letter B? So 104 kilograms or 64 kilograms. Which one weighs less? Choose letter B. Number 3, the difference is the answer to what type of problem? What type of problem do we have? The answer being the difference keyword here. That would be a fraction problem. Fraction as an answer called. All right, look at the multiplication table in the help pages. What two numbers do all the numbers in the 5 column and so don't see this at the moment, so we're going to skip number 4. You can skip it yourself. All right, number 5, 715 minus 266. So I cannot do 5 minus 6, and I know I'm not going to be able to do 1 minus 6 either. So this is where we can go all the way to the hundreds place. Cross out this 7, make it a 6. That would make this 1 into an 11, but I know I'm going to need to also borrow from this place. So instead of making it 11, I'm going to make it a 10, and I'll make my 5 15. Minus 6 is 9. 10 minus 6 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. 449. And your answer. What time is shown on the clock? So my hour hand is 11 and the 12. Okay. My note is 11. And my minute hand is on the 9. So counting by 5s. 10, 15, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 11. Draw a square and divide it into 6 equal parts, shade in 1/6. So, drawing a square, 6 equal parts. So, a good way to do this is to cut it in half first, and then cut those halves into pieces each. Something like this. Okay, and we're shading in 1/6. All right. Number 8, which is longer, 6 inches or 1 foot? Well, the way to do this is to figure out converting foot. So in 1 foot, that is the same as 12. So which one is longer? Well, the one that is longer is 78 closer to 70 or 80. Well, by looking at the number line, that's a pretty good question. It's 80. Counting by 5s, 30, 35, 40. Have 45, 50, and 55. Followed by. I have 4 sides. Each of my sides is the same length. Draw me. What shape has 4 sides of the same length? B. A square. Fill in the unknown factor. 4 times blank equals 20. 4 times 5 equals 794 plus 136. 790 plus 1. 7. 9. That. Okay. 4 plus 7 is 11. 1 down here. Carry the other one up here. Plus 9 is 10. Plus down here. 1 up here. And 1 plus 7 plus 1 is 931. Answer for the box. Write the letter that shows 2/4. E's, E or E, fourths. Tricky question. But right here I see 0, 1/4, I think, fourths, 4/4. Fourths will go here at letter E. Letter E is the correct answer. For 15, solve inside the parentheses first, then solve the rest of the equation. So 4 times 2, 8. 6, 8. Side 2 times 6 is 12. Times 4, 8. Alright, so that is the end of the video for now. Again, a reminder that starting next week, Google Classroom, you can check that every single day. I'm posting videos daily on the math lessons from the math book that we're going to send home. I'm going to assign pages from the math book that need to be turned in. So what you're going to do is take a picture of those, and you can, again, I'll let you know how you can upload those pictures so I can put grades in for math. As for English, again, we're going to be doing a study on the Titanic that Mrs. Volante is going to be preparing for us. So I will give you more updates on that as we get closer to that. But we're going to be posting those assignments every Monday, due the following Monday. So you're going to have a whole week to get them done. I don't know what your schedule is like. So your scholar might be able to do those pages during when they would normally have school, or they might have to do them in the evening. I don't know working at what time and what your scholar is going to be able to do. So I plan on, again, reaching out to you and just seeing what your schedule's like, and also coming up with a schedule that you can have your scholar be doing at home to get this work done. So please feel to reach out with any questions or have. And thank you so much for watching the video, and have a great day. Goblins out.